So, to give but perhaps a very practical example is when we run every morning, and when I have to get up to do this running, most of the cells in my body say, you can sleep in today, you can go running tomorrow. But once we did the run and once we're halfway through, then my body really starts working and it's great, and I get into the zone and it's wonderful. But it's so difficult to see that when you have to get out of bed and get the momentum flowing to get there.
Well, we're going to start with your last example because there is a lot there that will be easy to understand. So let's begin there. You're talking about momentum, even the momentum of inspiration. In fact, we think inspiration is the best example of momentum that exists, because when you find a way to come into alignment with all that you are, you have the energy that is creating worlds coursing through you, and your power is felt. That's what you're describing by being in the zone. So now let's talk about what it took to get into the zone. What you described by not wanting to get out of bed, but then doing it sort of under coercion or under influence from someone else. So you give in to it, you yield to the decision, or maybe even to her decision. But once you give in to it and start offering the action, which causes you to focus, your focus then causes that alignment, and then that feeling of being in the zone is what you feel when you leave the last pieces of resistance behind, and the whole of you now is having that physical experience. What we've just described is the way that most people move through life experience. There have been many people who have sat before us in the hot seat who have explained that once they begin the action of something, that then it gets easier. And they want to understand the momentum of action. How does action fit into all of this? And we always like to say that it's not about the action, it's about the focus. And that if you would utilize the power of focus and the power of momentum pre-action rather than during the action, that then it could be pleasant all the way through it. And that is when we began describing the process that we call pre-paving. It's where you get your energy moving, and then the movement of the energy inspires the action. And it's probably what's happening with your partner. She has probably already got that energy moving, and so her inspiration is starting long before she even opens her eyes. So when she opens her eyes, she hits the floor running because she's ready to go, where you're slower to catch up with it.
Yeah.
So it really is as simple as you put yourself in your bed the night before and you make a decision, as we were talking with our friend about making the decision to have that publisher publish the book and therefore play by those rules. As you make the decision, I'm going to get up in the morning, and first thing, I'm going to get into my body and I'm going to feel good, and I'm going to allow my body to sort of warm up and relax and feel good, and then we're going to get into the zone and just have a wonderful run together. And as you fast forward in your mind, when there's no resistance going on, to the pleasure of that run, to the pleasure of what it feels like when you get into the zone, to the pleasure of feeling the responsiveness of the cells of your body, the agility of your body, the flexibility of your body, and the power of your body. As you focus upon each of those things singularly just for a little while, in other words, agility, just think about what that feels like. Doesn't it feel good to be in your agile body? Doesn't it feel good to feel the power of your body? Don't you just love that feeling? Esther dreamed it the other night. She was running in her dream, running effortlessly with ease and strength and power. It was exhilarating just to feel it. Yeah. So as you focus upon that while you're lying in your bed, what happens is you get that energy stream moving. And then as you're going to sleep, say to yourself, when I awaken, I'm going to remember this. Now, when you open your eyes, go right back to that, because the momentum of it is right there. Don't hop right out of bed. Lie there for just a little bit and get your juices flowing, or your vibrational juices flowing, by remembering how it feels once you're in the zone. And it is our promise to you that you will awaken with an eagerness to go have this experience. And the absence of resistance will make that feeling of being out out there and running even more delicious than it is when you reluctantly finally find your focus, because you found your focus pre-action, before the action. You've pre-paved it before the action, rather than depending upon the action to talk you into it. Almost any of you can get into the rhythm of something eventually. In other words, almost anything that you do, once you've convinced yourself, this represents the majority of the workforce on this planet. Once you've convinced yourself, as our friend said brilliantly, I just realized I had no choice. Well, that's not what we're reaching for. You do have a choice, but as you acknowledge that I have a choice and this is my choice, I had a choice. You can go to work or not go to work, but you have a choice. You can go to work and complain, or you can go to work and feel good, but you have a choice. And as you start exercising these choices with the power of your mind, what will begin to happen is that the universal forces will fill in. When we talk about the universe surprising and delighting you, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about surprise and delight with the ease with which you are able to move through this life experience. Most of you have not begun to scratch the surface of utilizing the leverage of this energy, because you approach most things with split energy, and then you have to rely upon your action just to sort of bang it out, and then the action itself wears you down and makes you tired and makes you exhausted, and so then only part of you comes to the party, and then you don't get the results that you want. Then you spend time trying to assign blame to where it belongs, and all of it is just futility and wasted life experience. None of it has to be like that. If you would just use the power of your mind when it's easiest, and it's easiest when you're lying in your bed and there's not a lot of other stuff going on, and in the privacy of your own mind, you can choose to feel the way you choose to feel, you see. Pre-paving. Very good.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, indeed. And that discord that you've been describing a little bit, stand there just for a second. That discord that you were describing of your partner being the arrow or the bullet and you sort of being the stable rock, rather than calling it discord, let's call it balance. Rather than calling it contrast, let's calling it looking at the situation with a different point of view, and both points of view being valid. And as each of you look with appreciation, your partner looking at the stability of that which is you, and you looking at the flexibility of that which is her. Your partner looking at the stability is the best word, but the centeredness that is you. In other words, we don't feel stubbornness. We feel life experience having taught you. And your life experience counts for a lot. We don't want you to just disregard all of the opinions that you've come to. But it's such a wonderful thing when you accept that all of the opinions that you've come to are valid, but they still can become even more. And we can think of no better combination. Jerry and Esther, that is the combination they experience. The stability of knowing. Jerry always said, he had a handful of things that he always described. First, he said, if you can't multiply it by 1,000, don't do it. Well, that served them very well, because he had learned through life experience that you can get a tiger by the tail, and if you can't do this 1,000 times, then don't do it once, because things will get out of balance. He had another expression that served them very well, which is, don't let your business get bigger than your business. In other words, keep it in balance. Don't invest more than it is producing. He had another one that was perhaps the one that served them the best, and that was, we're just molding it into place. In other words, a lot of things that he had in his bag of tricks, so to speak, before he met Esther and before either one of them met Abraham. And even though there were modifications to that, and even though there was some stuff within it that it was nice when they began releasing it, it was stability. You have not been walking through the days of your life, and neither has your partner, without picking up things that are valuable. And the last thing that we want you to think we're saying to you is just discount everything that you know and start over. That is not what we're saying. We're saying take the stability of that which you are and soar like a rocket. There. That's a good formula. That's a good formula. We'll point until, come.